friends, and welcome to an astrological reading for the energies most prevalent for the new year, which is 2022. First, let's talk about the number 2022. So it is very obvious that it is reduced to the number 6, which is a number that resonates to the following: domestic duties, family responsibilities, but also at the same time, it is a number of beauty, harmony, balance, as well as creativity. For those people who actually happen to have the number 6, creativity and balance will be one of the major focus for the coming year. So in this number, we have 3 number 2s, or 3 sets of 2s. So the number 2 in Pythagorean numerology, which is something that I've been looking at since I was 15 years old, is the number that creates the line, the number that leads the line of the emotional plane. And what is very interesting is that here, since we have 3 sets of 2s, it's basically saying that this will be a year where reconnecting and creating better and stronger bonds, that means relationships of all kinds, will be extremely important, and they will be at the forefront of our interests, and it will be the focus for many people for this new year. So, having said that, also, because it is a triple 2 number, it means that emotions will be at a very high degree during this year. Okay, so where I'm coming from is basically, or what I'm referring to is the number 2, which deals with relationships, because 1 and 2, me and you, I and thou, basically talks about the nature, the relationship between 2 points, right? And that's emotions. Emotions will be at a very high level, so to speak, meaning that emotions will run high this coming year. Emotional balance will be necessary. People will be very emotionally impacted by this year that is coming. So now, let me share the screen with all of you, so whoever happens to be watching. Here you can see the chart for 2022. And it's very interestingly set to Virgo. As you can see, that's the ascendant, and the 3rd decade of Virgo, right? So that's going to be the color of how most people will view this coming year. It'll be a year where work and service, health, domestic, like I said, because of the number 6, will be of the highest priority. Maintaining some form of peace and tranquility per se, or emotional balance at home. Now, where is the sun? It's in the 4th house of home. And that's repeating, as I said, in regards to numerology, where the focus is. The sun is in Capricorn, and we are going to look at this in regards to our country, Australia, which is where I'm based. So for us, because this is for Sydney, right? Our main focus will be the motherland, or the homeland, or the fatherland, whichever way you want to look at it. The main focus will be for us here, how we view our country and our government, because it's in Capricorn. As you can see, 4th house, Capricorn here. But the house, or the sign that is ruling, or the depositor of the sun, is Jupiter, because the 4th house in this particular chart for this year, our country happens to fall here in Sagittarius. What is Sagittarius? What does it mean? Well, in this context, in the context of government, it deals with the law, it deals with the application of law, higher law, also with universities, religious entities like the church and different churches. So what does it mean? It means that the laws of the land will become very, very focused, or we will pay attention to them, and we will have to pay attention to them. We will have to deal with them in some kind of a way. Okay, so let's look again to the ascendant, Virgo. Another thing that I was saying in regards to this ascendant of Virgo is health. Virgo rules health, and its house is the house number 6, the 6th house in astrology. What do we have here in Virgo going on right now for Australia? We have Jupiter at 0 degrees Pisces. We also have Neptune at 20 degrees Pisces conjuncting the descendant. So what is going on here? When we have, for a personal reading or for a collective reading, Neptune indicates in the 6th house of Pisces, nebulous or difficult to ascertain or understand situations that are connected with health here. And health colored by the sign of Pisces, which means with the fluids in the body, with the blood in the body, with the feet. Yeah, that's the body part, feet. Yes. So we also have Jupiter in this house, right? There is at what degree? 0 degree, which means that there is a very interesting situation going on, that there is a massive hole, so to speak, an opening where there is not enough, let's call it services to deal with what's going on. Meaning that there will be in institutions, Pisces rules institutions like hospitals where people go for whatever is ailing them, like institutions like places of rest. That's all ruled by Pisces, where also rules jails. Okay, there will be an expansion of a large problem, an emptiness is created within that realm, or the association of there not being enough of that particular service, because the 6th house is about service within institutions of health. So there will be a major issue with hospitals and places that provide health services for this country. Also, any service that deals with support for people who need help also will be impacted by this situation as well. And this is going to be one of the major issues. A lot of people are going to be having, if we're going to look at it in a more mundane way, there will be a lot of alcohol abuse showing up in our screens on television, and a lot of addiction showing up, a lot of confusion in regards to illness and disease, and there's a major confusing or an nebulous screen being placed upon the notion of illness and disease when it comes to how we look at the general situation of health in our country. Right. Having said that, I'm also very intrigued by this aspect where I'm gonna share screen again. The particular aspect here where Pluto is in the 5th house, conjuncting Venus by 2 degrees. That's a good conjunction. Also, Mercury will be there. And joining them within the same house is also Saturn at 11 degrees in Aquarius. So Pluto and Venus in Capricorn. And the depositor is in the same house, in the 5th house, but in Aquarius. So who is the depositor here? Saturn, right? So the nature of this conjunction between Pluto and Venus, not only is there a Capricornian one because they happen to be in Capricorn, but it is being put there specifically in regards to Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn in Aquarius is all about using technology, using the intellect, using all things that are connected with the rational mind, with inventions, new inventions that allow for more Saturnian control or structuring or restructuring. Because Pluto is here as well in Capricorn, it is also about control and power. So this is more control being exerted by the planet Saturn, that which is the planet that rules Capricorn. And they are basically the 5th house is all about taking risks. And this is a risk that is being taken by, because we're talking about government, it's a risk that is going to be taken by government in that it will stop anything that is connected with Venus, anything to do with careers, anything to do with how you benefit from your career. They are going to restrict it because they will make sure that an electronic or digital new technology is introduced before you can enjoy the results of your career or of your work. But this is more to do with career, professional people, so to speak, okay, within the scope of how the government can control that particular area of human activity, which is the professional side of business or the professional side of corporate manufacturing and all of that stuff. This is the 5th house. So it has to do with taking risks, as well as also with children. So some aspects of this new exerted digital control that is interfering with the careers of people will involve the control of your children and making sure that they are assessed by these new technological or new digital devices or electronic media or digital control, basically. Moving on. So we spoke about the 6th house. We spoke about the 1st house. So as I said again, the ascendant here is Virgo. Right, let's look at the 3rd house of communications, right? Because we're talking about government. We're going to be looking at where Mars is here because it happens to be in the 3rd house. Mars in this particular chart, right, is in Sagittarius, connected with the moon. So they're making a conjunction with some other asteroids, okay? But it's all in Sagittarius, connected with the depositor of them, which is Jupiter. And because Jupiter happens to be in the 6th house, then there is the tonality of the 6th house being exerted upon the 3rd house here, or filtered by it. What we see here is a Mars that begins to behave in a very patriotic, there is a lot of patriotic talk with the moon here. So this means the moon is about the public, and the emotional intensity of the public becomes more patriotic, okay? There is more emphasis on nationalism for Australia this coming year. And there is a strong emotional fervor that takes place because of the Martian need to assert itself and confidently, for lack of a better word, attack anything that is not embellished with a nationalistic coloring to it. We look at Mars, and right now it's doing a very good aspect to, it's a sextile to the transiting Saturn in the 5th house, which means that level of digital control will be directed at, as a nationalistic or very patriotic argument by government to assert control over the family and children as a very, this is for basically, it's kind of like saying, you know, if you don't do this, if your family doesn't do this for the country, then you are attacking us, or you are the enemy because you are not responding to what we're saying to you in regards to how to keep our country safe, right? Because in regards to health, because the Jupiter, the depositor of Mars in the 3rd house here happens to be in the 6th house, health and services and work. Okay, so apparently all those issues will be very, or they will dominate the arena of interest, of public interest, due to what the government is demanding from people. We're going to go to the future. Okay, so the future here shows that what do I mean by future? We look at the North Node, which is over here in Taurus, 29 degrees. This is very interesting. This is very close to the Algol star of Medusa. But let's not get stuck in there. But let's talk about this North Node in 29 degrees in Taurus. So what does that mean? The main focus for all of the year is an extreme interest in creating a new financial, let's call it, let's look at where Venus is in the chart, right? So the Venus is in the 5th house, okay? So this is again taking a risk, all right? And it's to do with riches or being lucky perhaps. So Venus here, the depositor of the transiting North Node, which essentially it's it's not an actual planet or anything like that, or luminary, but is in fact the nodal axis of the moon. But anyways, moving on. So it represents the Dharma of our country right now, okay? So we're looking at a situation where the main focus for next year is financial. As you can see, because the connection of Venus and Pluto makes it to do with control of goods and services and the control of anything that's material that can be bought and sold. And that is the main focus of next year in the 8th house. So that is shared values. The 8th house is to do with shared values at the level of the physical of Taurus, or the sign of Taurus here. You see it? This is something that has been waiting for a while. Something that is, this is a very specific point, but that's all I'm going to say in regards to that. So that's the main focus of next year, financial, right? It will affect our services, it will affect our hospitals. So to recap, that's a short example of what I see for next year. Of course, there is far more here going on here, but otherwise this is going to take very long. Anyway, so if you are interested in a personal chart for yourself, if you want to find out about who you are and what you came to the world to do, what your destiny really is, where you would be the most lucky, or where you can find love or career, what you're best suited as in terms of career or work, you can find out by ordering a chart or a live reading through Zoom, or if you live near the Central Coast, you can visit me at the entrance. And the address I will leave on this post. So thank you for listening. And again, to recap, next year, it's all about the financial state of the world and of our country. And it'll impact our health services very much so. We will find out that there is a massive hole in our hospitals, and this is probably to do with staffing, but nothing's always certain in terms of how reality works, but I'm pretty sure I am correct about this. So again, thank you for listening and watching, and I hope you enjoyed this particular reading for 2022. Goodbye, and see you again.